All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this is gonna be a fun stream. We're just gonna set up Rust, and then we're gonna look at Visual Studio Code a little bit. Um, so all I'm doing is pulling the command from the Rust book on how to install, and then I don't know. We'll see what happens. We might have some surprises along the way. Um, yeah, like this is a M1 MacBook, so I don't know if we're gonna have any problems, but I just cleared the screen and just to show, there's nothing installed with regards to Rust. Rust compiler is not installed, cargo is not installed. And this is just the default Mac terminal emulator, VSH. Um, I might switch to iTerm. I hear that's pretty good, but we may just stick to ZSH for now. So after we get Rust installed, then I just installed Visual Studio Code, so you won't have to wait through that. But we'll look at it's going to be fresh out of the box. So we'll do some configuration to see what that looks like, and give you kind of a guide on how to just like look at it, not so much set up, not a step by step, but what to think about when you're looking at what to install. Because I frequently like install too much stuff, and then I have a bunch of different extensions I can manage. But let's go ahead and get this. We'll get there. And I'll talk about it more as we get to Visual Studio Code. So I'm just pulling this command from the Rust book. Oh yeah, it puts the prompt in there, so I gotta get rid of that. Let me just go back here and remove that little $sign. I'm just gonna go with the default installation. So I'm gonna hit 1 and enter. So you're gonna see all our familiar friends here: Cargo, Rust C. We haven't talked yet about Rust, Rust Funter, Clippy, but those are nice tools we'll use pretty soon. So this is just gets Rust in the path, and so the path is like your your terminal knows, like, anyway, yeah, or your terminal emulator, how it knows to find applications, essentially. At least that's my understanding. I'll be honest, I'm not terribly well versed on path stuff. I always just fumble through it. I get errors, and then I Google it and do whatever it tells me to do. But I'm gonna do my best to keep this installation really clean. So that's now installed. Let me know if there's any issues reading my terminal. I hope the font's good size. Yeah, so that's installed. We can verify that by typing Rust C version. We got Rust now, so that's pretty awesome. We can do cargo. Let's just run through our cargo new hello world just to make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. Great. Okay. Just look at it, right? I'm not gonna look too closely at any files here, just so that our main's there, right? And I'm not gonna run this yet. Cool. All right, so next thing we're going to do is I'm going to launch Visual Studio Code. Let me switch the monitor or the screen capture over to the Visual Studio Code window. This may be hard to read initially, but we'll adjust all that. That's kind of part of what I wanted to do this, because I wanted to hopefully we got one viewer, so that's great. Welcome. Hopefully we can get some more. And I can get some feedback on the font size. So my Mac is set to dark as the default mode, so that's the color theme. It's just like this theme that we're seeing. We could do light, which I'm not a big fan of. High contrast is generally used, I think, if you have some type of visual issue with colors and seeing colors, but I don't know for sure, honestly. But I'm gonna stick with dark for now. Um, we'll look at some themes just because I think that's fun, and then sync to and from other devices. Now I'm not gonna do that. One shortcut to access everything. I don't know what this is. This is our keyboard way to accomplish any task. Open command. Practice by looking at frequent ones to save time. Oh yeah, that's just a command pilot. So if we do, what was it, Command Shift P? This is like different functions you get or commands you can use in Visual Studio Code. We'll use some of those as we go. Rich support of all your languages, so this is definitely something we want to do. I'm not going to, we can look at this real quick. These are all these different language extensions, but I want to do it from kind of the standard menu rather than this get started. And then you can pick a folder to start looking at code. Okay, so this is just like kind of a checklist from Visual Studio Code that they say will help you get started. So I'm doing just Command plus to get us a little bit larger font because I know it's probably difficult to read on the stream. But this is a good wizard to step through, I think, if you're new to Visual Studio Code. So I have more walkthroughs, but I don't think I'm going to go through this right now. I kind of want to just like get in here and start setting up some things. So the big thing is let's remove this just so let's do a quick tour, right? Okay. First thing I'm going to do is go to hit here, and this is actually where your code will live. I'm actually going to open that folder we just talked about, or that we just created with Cargo. So our Hello World file, Hello World app. Do you trust the authors of the files in this folder? So this is a new thing that's been showing up in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to go ahead and trust the authors because I'm the author. So this is fun too. Like I haven't even installed Git yet. So that's interesting. Git not found. Install it or configure it using the git.path setting. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think. Let's go ahead and download. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if that's the extension. Oh yeah, it's the extension. So I don't know if that's going to install it for my system. So I'm actually going to put that off for now. So actually, before we dive into this, I want to go into settings. So I'm clicking this little gear, and I'm going to go to settings. I just want to get some larger font in here. So I don't know. 18 is probably good. Editor font size. I was expecting that to take effect immediately. So these are good. I'll probably pick something I like maybe a little better later on, but I'm not going to worry about that now. My big thing is just getting our code, our text more readable for the streams. Tab size, that's fine. We can dig into that later. I just wonder if there's like my sidebar, I want that to be a bigger size, right? Autosave, accessibility page size. Let's go to window. Maybe there's something here. No. Nug, bring the meteor. Nug. Let's do this. Let's do sidebar, maybe. Sidebar location. So there's just a search bar up here for our settings. Just do font and see what we show up. Shows up. Controls the font size and pixels. Okay. Input controls or input message in pixels. SCM. That's source control, maybe. Screencast mode, font size. Oh, there's a screencast mode. That's interesting. Maybe I should look into that. I don't even know about that. Visual Studio Code's like there's a lot you can do. It's really big, and I don't keep up with everything you can do. Terminal, I definitely want that terminal. Let's get that up. Be bigger. All right. Let's look at this code if this is any more real. Yeah, so our code is definitely a bigger font. That's good. Let's bring up a terminal. Terminal is a good size, right? Let me know if the code here or the text down here is too small, please. It kind of looks small when I'm looking at the preview of the stream. What do you think, Bring the Meteor? Is it too small, too big? Any thoughts? All right. Let me know. Let's go ahead and, man, I wish there was open folder settings. That's what I want. Code lens, font size, right? There should be a font like a. Code lens. No, that's not what I want. Editor. Oh, is this user or workspace? Yeah. Okay. So here's a concept that's I think probably important to know about Visual Studio Code. You have your settings here, and they can be by user or by workspace. And so when I set this font size to 18 for the user, that means any code I open with Visual Studio Code is going to have this this font size. Workspace, like let's say, so one example is like the text that I use for streams is usually is bigger than what I would normally use, right? So what I could do, and maybe what I will do, is it's just whatever code base I have for a stream. For that workspace I use a certain font, but then by default I use a smaller font. But for now I'm just going to use the user font, which is like kind of the global scope. I just don't know why I'm not able to get a better font size here. Okay, I'm going to close Visual Studio Code and relaunch it. Just a second. Still bugging me about Git. No, and I don't have. Okay, let me bring the screen back up. I don't have any better font size here. That's frustrating. So what if I do this? Oh. That's what I want. So it created a special little font or a little file here for VS Code in the repo, which is fine. I just don't need it right now, and I'm gonna probably delete it at some point. Tab size. All right, we're gonna Google this. Google Power. How to increase font size of side panel, or let's do File Explorer. What do they call it? Yeah, File Explorer. in VS Code. Huh. All right, so this is what I'm reading. Sorry, this is really, really bad for a stream for me to sit and read Stack Overflow. I don't know if this is going to give me what I'm looking for. Strictly next. Sorry, very much. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so everyone's saying I should just zoom the either in and out with the. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's fine. So I use the Command plus to zoom. Bring the meteor. What do you think? Any input on the editor font size or the side panel font size? All right, I'll go with that for now. If you're watching this on YouTube and have feedback, yes. Here's the thing. Now in my, if you're watching on YouTube and you have feedback at the end of this video, let me know what you think is good. So now that I've zoomed in, this font is a lot bigger. So I'm gonna go back one because that's a little too much. I'm gonna go back into settings to user text and take this down to 16, I think. Yeah, so it's 18 now. Let's do that to 16, and then let's do our terminal font down to 16. Okay. All right. So it looks like we have a little, like, Visual Studio Code's given us a little love on the Rust. Like, so it's already kind of recognizing some syntax. I don't know if this is just like generalized syntax or whatever, but it's highlighting this keyword FN, and it's recognizing this text in between the quotation marks. But let's bring some Rust into our IDE. Okay, so before we do that, sorry, I meant to do this in the first place, but I wanted everyone to be able to read this. I still want this a little bigger. All right, sorry. I'm tweaking things, so I'm going to bring this down to 14, and then I'm going to bring the editor font down to 14. Okay. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, bring the meteor. Any feedback you have, YouTube, if you're watching the recording of the stream, give me some feedback in the comments. That would be helpful. Okay, so now we're gonna do a quick tour of these tabs here. Excuse me. So this just opens and closes our file explorer, and this shows all the files in our repo. So hello world, this is the repo that we created with our cargo new command. And this VS Code file was created by Visual Studio Code. It's actually a folder and a file. I'm actually just going to delete it because we don't need it. So what that was an example of a workspace setting. Once I changed the workspace setting, it just created this file for Visual Studio Code to be aware of the settings specific to this workspace, but we're not going to keep them. I'm just removing it. That's another example of, like, it's all just text files, right? So our settings for Visual Studio Code were just saved in that settings.json file. I'm going to slide this a little bit over. I just wanted you to see this hello world here. That's the name of the directory. We're also there in the terminal here, terminal emulator. So if we hover over this, we have a few options. This button will create a file, which is great. I don't need a file there right now. This will create a folder. This will reload the status of these folders. And then this will just, like, expand. Like, if we have a bunch of folders, it'll expand and collapse them. I guess it just collapses them. I don't know. We have some options here. Open editors, outline folder. Oh yeah, that's like, I'm not sure what that is actually. Oh, okay. So if I have like cargo toml, and then so if I have two files here, why is it not showing that? Oh yeah, open editors. Here we go. So this open editors will highlight the files that are actually open in this tab. Let me just do that. So this down here is Visual Studio Code. Whenever it sees a file it doesn't recognize, it'll say, "Hey, can we get an extension that'll help you, help you read this file?" Because it's all gray right now, which is fine, but these colors kind of help us know what this code means, right? But we'll get to that. I'm gonna get rid of that just to hide it for now. Search, if you have a big code base, like being able to search your code base is something you want to do. So that's a big feature, but we just don't need it right now. And then you can replace, like we could say, I don't want this to say hello, And so it's got the name of the application in cargo.toml, and it's got this where we say hello, and we can just replace it all with hi. And then if I hit this, it'll replace everything. Saying, do you want to replace two occurrences across two files with hi? Replace. And so now it says hi world, and in here it says hi world for the name of the application. But I'm just going to change that back to hello. And thing, just replacing it back. So yeah, so that's not a big deal right now. We don't have a lot of code, but once you're dealing with like a big program, that'll be helpful. This we need to install Git on our computer, and so we may look at that back on our command line rather than in Visual Studio Code. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. Run and debug. I haven't used the debugger in Visual Studio Code with Rust, so that'll be interesting. Maybe we can explore that later. But this is just like, so one thing you can do with your code is like run it in debug mode. What that does is like you can set breakpoints in your code and say, hey, like I want you to, I guess I have to install something. I don't know. It's not giving me. So normally you can click here and start a breakpoint or initialize a breakpoint, not initialize, place a breakpoint. But maybe that's because I don't have any Rust support here, so it's not allowing me to do that. But a breakpoint would allow you to run your code and then have the compiler or interpreter or whatever it's running stop right there before it actually happens, and then like give you an opportunity to kind of inspect the state of your data and stuff to see if there's any, like if you have any issues, you're trying to figure out what's happening. Cool. So now the fun part, right? Extensions. That's this tab here. I'm going to bring this out a little bit longer just so we can see what we were working with here. So extensions are just a bunch of like applications for your, excuse me, for Visual Studio Code that help you either with syntax or automate things or run things. And there's a ton of them. You're not going to use most of this stuff. Like, I mean, you can, obviously. Python is pretty straightforward if you want to run Python. Jupyter is if you're doing like data science or AI, deep learning stuff. You frequently work in a Jupyter notebook, and yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. ESLint, that's for formatting JavaScript code, I think. I mean, yeah, essentially, yeah. Lint's called a linter. Prettier is a code formatter I've used before. I like it. But yeah, I'm not going to mess with all that right now. What we really want is some Rust support here. So, oops, I need to spell Rust correctly. Excuse me just a second. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. So we got a lot of Rust fun stuff going on here. and they're really easy to install. But I would encourage you not to go crazy when you see all this stuff, because then you just have a bunch of things, and like some of these things will do the same thing, and then you'll have to every time you open up a Rust application, you'll have to figure out which one you want to actually run. Um, so the two big ones here that I'm aware of, there's a lot that I've never seen before, which is fine, but I'm not going to mess with it because I just want to kind of keep it. I want to keep this installation as clean as possible for streams. That way, if people just drop in, it's pretty close to what you get out of the box. Um, so Rust Analyzer, I've had that in my previous streams, and it's really robust. I'm kind of like it gives a little, in my opinion, when I'm streaming, it gives a little bit too much information. And I'm sure there's ways to. I'm just resizing windows here so we can read this stuff. I'm sure there's ways to have it not be so robust. But for the time being, I'm going to see if we can just. I'm going to see if we can just get by with the kind of Rust for Visual Studio Code extension. And it says it's powered by Rust Language Server and Rust Analyzer. So I don't know. We may actually get Rust Analyzer with it. Code compilation, jump to definition. So these are all things that will help us as we're, navigating bigger code bases. And also be able to read our own code and other people's code. Yeah. Yeah, I saw something in this Rust Analyzer that reminded me. It said to install Rust up, and I don't remember if we get Rust up when we install the Rust C. We know we got Cargo, so I wonder if we shouldn't go back and install that. I'm gonna open that link. Rust up is an installer. Yeah, that's actually that was included in that link. Now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, okay. So just let me just show you where that I'm gonna post that link just so you can see where that link that I just clicked took me. And it's actually the same command we used that we used to install Rust. So we have Rust, or excuse me, Rust up. I think if we just type it here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's the Rust toolchain installer. That's fine. We got it. So this is an integrated terminal we have here, and just to be completely clear, this terminal emulator is, essentially the window we were on when we first started our stream when we installed Rust. So I can install things here just like I could in that other window. Yeah, I wonder if I should just manually install Git on my computer. That's kind of what I'm having, trying to think through what is the right decision. Let's go ahead and install this Rust, not Rust Analyzer, but this first one, this Rust extension. I think, and I could be wrong, I have a feeling that the Rust Analyzer was incorporated into this official Rust extension, and now it's just it's being developed here, but I could be wrong. So when you're looking at extensions, just one more thing I want to touch on. You may not always know what to use, right? With Rust, I'm going to recommend one of these two. But when you're on your own and you're installing things, a good idea is to take a look at these numbers of downloads, right? Because that'll tell you how popular it is. Stars, I don't know, right? That's those reviews. It's hard. I always have a hard time being able to tell if why is this star why is this review were people mad or something? I don't know why the reviews get bad or why these things get bad reviews. So this one has 5 stars, so I don't know. I know there's definitely a lot more. I kind of want to go just dig into this and look at it on GitHub. I think we should have a link. Here it is. This repository link will take us to it on GitHub. Let me switch my I'm gonna switch my window over to that so we can look at it together. So I'll zoom this out up a little bit so everyone can read. So it's still being actively maintained here. There's a commit just an hour ago, right? So we know it's still happening. Rust Analyzer is a modular compiler frontend for the Rust language. It is part of a large RLS 2.0 effort to create excellent IDE support for Rust. Yeah, I'm really curious to know what the relationship between Rust Analyzer and Rust is. So let me just I'm gonna search GitHub for to find just to see what they have going on at the official like Rustlang org. So I should probably just search for this. What was it? Rust ID. Yeah, so I think this is the same one. Rust language server, I think. Let me go back to Visual Studio Code and get the repo for the other one. I'm being really deliberate about this because like I've gotten my my IDEs in like kind of crappy states because I just installed a bunch of stuff. So let me just I found that. There we go. What's interesting is like this one is actually not as actively maintained. This was there's a last commit. It looks like a pull request emerged on February 23rd. Last release was on May 13th, 2020. Okay. You know, I might actually just go with the Rust Analyzer then, if this one is so behind compared to it. Let's go back to the Rust Analyzer repo real quick. Yeah, look at this. I had it released 6 days ago. All right, we're going with Rust Analyzer. Let's switch over to back to our IDE, and I'll get us. We're gonna install it. So yeah, so I guess this one has so many more downloads because it's just like, you know, looks more official, I guess. But maybe the Rust. I've heard before that Rust Analyzer is good. Curious about this one too. I've never heard of it. So this gives us some Rust, better TOML, and crates. So I guess it's just like kind of like a compilation of extensions, but I don't know. We'll go with Rust Analyzer for now, and I'm probably just gonna have to end up customizing it so it's not so verbose. All right. So let me get this a little smaller here, and let's look at our code now. Yeah, so we have all of our. See, this is our stuff. Yeah, see, this is the thing, right? When we see all this, like, it's fine for me, and that it's actually helpful. But when I'm streaming, like, I'm trying to highlight stuff, it's like I don't want these huge windows popping up. So I'm probably just going to have to learn how to tweak that. All right, so so one of the cool things we get with Rust Analyzer, I'm going to click my tab to go back to our File Explorer, and just run this. So this is cool. I can just run it from here. Oh yeah, so this is a Mac thing, right? I got to install these tools. I'm actually going to do that here in the terminal. Okay. Give me just a second. Let me get that command from the Rust book. I saw that and realized I hadn't done it. So this is just for Mac. I guess you need this these tools that Apple Apple has a lot of stuff locked down. So some key bindings don't go to the terminal by default and are handled by Visual. That's okay. I don't understand. All right, whatever. Oh yeah, I forgot. I don't know why they put these prompts in there, so I just got to remove that $sign. Oh, so, all right. So I have to. You're probably not seeing it. This Apple is opening up another window for me to install this stuff. So give me just a moment here. Yeah. So what happened was I got this prompt that I needed to install some developer tools from Apple, Xcode developer tools. There's some stuff in there that that we need for Rust to kind of communicate with our computer. Essentially, I guess is probably a way to say it. I'll be honest with you, I'm not terribly clear, but it's installing that software right now, and then we'll try to run our code again, and that should fix it. That was kind of expected. I saw that after we skipped over to our IDE, but I was hoping we wouldn't have to worry about it. So we have about, it's telling me a minute. It says 12 minutes. Give me just a second. I'm going to mute and clear my throat. All right. Let's see. Still going. Looks like now it's telling me 11 minutes. Well, that's disappointing. Okay. Well, here's what we'll do. While that's running, I'm going to keep that window off to the side here so I have a little view on it. And let's do something fun with our IDE, right? So one of the really cool things about Visual Studio Code is like all this configuration you can do. So Rust, it's recommending the official Rust for Visual Studio Code extension, but we're not going to do that because we're going to use Rust Analyzer instead. GitLens, I'm not too familiar with. Yeah, so this is like a Git extension of some kind. I'm kind of just like browsing here. Get Kraken bought it. Yeah, I'm not interested in this. Vim. Yeah, so this is like. Yeah, I've actually been learning Vim, and I kind of like Vim, so I may install this. But I wouldn't. I definitely don't recommend this unless you're like learning Vim, and I don't recommend learning Vim if you're just like learning development because it's not. It takes practice to get good at, and it's not really worth it at this point. It's more important that you focus on the code you're writing, not like how you navigate with your keyboard. So let's yeah. But what I'm gonna hide these down here. Popular. There's a lot of stuff here, but I'm not gonna like. I don't need this stuff. And I also don't need like themes, but I want a cool theme, right? So theme is just basically like it's like helps you like it. You can change like what your editor looks like, which is cool. See, I don't know what this C++. That sounds boring. Linux theme. Let me get this terminal down some. See, these aren't coming through. That stinks. So this would be our previews, but for some reason they're not coming through. These are broken image files. What about Groupbox? Yeah, see, like this is what the themes do. I don't know. Bring the Meteor. Any thoughts on what we've seen so far? Yeah, that's kind of neat. Real Mars. Real Arabian. Real Neon. Kind of like Neon. be out flat. Delphi. Delphi. VS Code looking like Delphi. That's too bright. Oh, this is like some old stuff. Honestly, it's kind of neat. It's kind of nostalgic for me seeing some of these. But that's too much. I don't want to blow everybody's eyes out. I kind of like purple ones. I don't know why. Earthbound, you can get like the old game. Oh, it's not coming through. That stinks. I hate when that doesn't work. Hacker theme, like the Matrix. See, it doesn't have pictures. So here's like one that I think is kind of interesting. I've been considering like moving everything to, and it's called Dracula. So that's nice and soft. I think it's readable. And what's cool about Dracula is that you can use it everywhere. Let me I think it's just draculatheme.com. Yeah, here it is. I'm gonna get the link for it. But you can use it in every editor. And I end up working in a lot of editors. At my job, I work in 2 different editors. I'll probably end up, like, for my personal work, I'll probably work in Vim just because I like that. But with Dracula theme, I can have the same theme everywhere. That's kind of appealing. So I'm gonna go with Dracula for the theme. Do you want Dracula soft or Dracula dark? How do I get that back? Get me there. Oh, I can set the color theme here. Dracula soft. I don't like this Dracula soft. I thought that I could do. Was there more than one? There's Dracula. Okay, good news. Looks like our developer tools are finished installing, so I'll check that in just a moment. Let's do Dracula. Am I already on Dracula? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that works. Yeah, that's better. There's all sorts of, like, look, I just searched for Dracula and there's different Dracula themes. Dracula at night. I actually kind of like that too. That feels like it might be too dark for streams. Yeah, see, I like that. I like that font too. Any thoughts, Bring the Meteor? You just hanging out? All right. Let's see if this works. This should work now. All right, it worked. That's good. Oh, another way I can do it. Let me just clear this so it's easy to read. Cargo run. I'm getting a warning because my app name is non-snake case, so we can change that. That's fine. I'm actually gonna, yeah. So let's just do this. Save. I'm gonna run it again. No, we shouldn't get that warning anymore. Hello world. Hello. Yes. Cool. Well, our editor, I think, is ready to go. Yeah. It's good. Feeling good. Feeling good about this. Cool. We're gonna pick up. We'll probably do 2 rush streams this week. I'm guessing probably Monday and Tuesday, 2200 UTC. But yeah, thanks for being here. I'll post this on YouTube. This is kind of like a mess around video, so I hope it wasn't too boring. But if you didn't know much about Visual Studio Code, this is probably a good, like, casual tour. But yeah, I think we're good for now. Cool. So check out Grom's Club, twitter.com/Grom's Club. It's probably the best way that you can, like, see everything that we're doing. You can join the Discord, come learn Rust with us. We have some people collaborating on some projects. You can mint a Grom at paddleout.groms.club. That's out.groms.club. All right. Everybody have a good day. GM to everyone. Talk soon.